Hello and welcome back to Music Movies. When someone asks you about the all-time great movie musicals, what kind of titles do you think of? The Wizard of Oz? My Fair Lady? The King and I? Well, you'd be right to think so. They're not all on the AFI's list of great movie musicals without reason, but all in due time. I'm thinking more obvious. The most iconic, classic musical that you can think of. Classic!
Phantom is so classic.
Well, more classic. The Phantom is so 1980s. I'm thinking more 1950s.
Phantom is so classicer. You are forgetting the Oscar Award-winning Universal Pictures movie musical from the 1940s. You don't get more classic than that.
But I've done Phantom already.
Oh, don't even get me started on your factual review of the 2004 Phantom of the Opera movie. We have discussed this. Joel Schumacher would not know Phantom if it hit him over the head with a skull.
Lisa, sorry, folks, we appear to have lost connection. What I was trying to get at here was the very definition of a classic music movie. Number one on AFI's top greatest movie musicals, Singin' in the Rain.
Singin' in the Rain, underappreciated in its own time, and one of your all-time classic song and dance spectaculars so prevalent in the early 1950s, with everything bleached and polished to an upsettingly lustrous white glow. The film is mainly a vehicle for the multi-talented Gene Kelly to demonstrate his singing and dancing skills, but let's not forget his co-stars Donald O'Connor and Debbie Reynolds for keeping up with him. The movie is set during the late 1920s, during the era of silent film and vaudeville, where we meet the romantic duo of the silver screen, Lockwood and Lamont.
You've come a long way together, Don. Won't you tell us how it all happened?
Dora, not in front of all these people!
Don Lockwood begins to regale them with the tales of his youth and meeting his best friend Cosmo in dancing school.
Oh, that's Cosmo, Donald O'Connor. You'll be used to seeing him mainly in the background, but hey, the man knows his stage business.
They grew up together and entered showbiz as lowly as they came, building up a vaudeville act. Oh yeah, remember how I said that the film was a vehicle for Kelly's singing and dancing? Well, that's only half true. It was mainly a project to showcase songs conceived by Arthur Freed.
It has a fiddle ready for love. I can jump over the moon up above. It has a fiddle and ready for love.
Responsible for a great many of the big MGM musicals of the era, to showcase his collection of songs from the era.
This number, one of your to-be-expected-by-now, all smiles, wacky, fun-time reviews, is a good example of how tough it was to be in showbiz back then. And never mind even back then, this movie was shot in the 50s, and Kelly and O'Connor are working their asses off up there. And no matter how many takes it took, keep those teeth showing.
Eventually, they work their way up to Hollywood lots as music performers until Lockwood's lucky break as a stunt performer earns him a spot in the movies alongside big-time actress Lena Lamont.
That's funny. I'm busy.
Their relationship gets off to a fine start. Yeah, they hate each other. Well, it's one-sided to say the least anyway.
Can't get her out of my hair. This cooked-up romance just for publicity.
The price of fame, Don.
A breakdown en route to the rap party and the ensuing mayhem find him hitching a ride from an unsuspecting young gal.
Lady, keep driving. They're after me.
They hit it off surprisingly well for one of the biggest movie stars in the world, dropping into your passenger seat from the roof of a Greyhound bus, but given the apparent method of the relationships in this picture, it doesn't last too long.
Everything disintegrates completely as she calls movie actors just a bunch of dumb show as she aspires to be a real stage actress. At the rap party, a shaken Don Lockwood and company are a captive audience for a demonstration of the new talking picture.
Okay, let her go.
Hello. This is an example of a talking picture. Notice the movement of my lips and the sound issuing from them is in perfect harmony.
There's somebody talking behind that screen.
Come out from behind that screen, Mr. Simpson.
No, I'm right here.
To celebrate the success of the movie, the other movie. A huge cake is rolled out, and who would be kidding? Even in the 30s, this was no surprise.
If it isn't Ethel Barrymore.
So she's just a chorus girl after all. No biggie, right? At least she gets to perform All I Do Is Dream of You, one of my favorite little tunes from 1934, originally from the movie Sadie McKee.
In the dawn, I still go on dreaming of you. You're every thought, you're everything, you're every song I ever sing.
But that's not why I remember it so fondly. You can blame Chico Marx for that in Night at the Opera. Plug, plug, watch the top 9 Marx Brothers musical moments, plug, plug.
Now, don't go. Now that I know where you live, I'd like to see you home.
Now listen, Mr. Lockwood. Who is this dame anyway?
No wonder she's a star of the silent screen.
Here's one thing I've learned from the movies.
After this incident, he's inexplicably smitten with her, perhaps for being the only woman he couldn't win over with just his smile and leathery tan.
Come on now, snap out of it. You can't let a little thing like this get you down.
In an attempt to get Don back into high spirits again, we finally get to see Cosmo out of the background and into the limelight.
Short people have long faces, and long people have short faces. Big people have little humor, and little people have no humor at all.
I don't know half of you half as well as I should like, and I like less than half of you half as well as you deserve.
Make 'em laugh, make 'em laugh. Don't you know everyone wants...
This being one of the rollicking musicals of the 1950s, the musical numbers are perhaps more about spectacle than the songs themselves, and Donald O'Connor knows how to put on a goddamn show.
Perhaps this spectacle is a diversion from distracting us from remembering that we've heard this exact same song 4 years ago in The Pirate, also starring Gene Kelly, and performed by Gene Kelly.
Will face you with dread. If you become a dentist, they'll be glad when you're dead. You'll get a bigger hand if you can stand on your head. Be a clown, be a clown, be a clown.
So, which is better? Well, Make 'em Laugh is certainly more well-known and iconic, and the energy and rubber-faced physical comedy O'Connor brings is tough to beat. Not to say Kelly was any slouch either, and the dance he does with his 2 clown buddies is a wonder to behold. The release of the first talkie, The Jazz Singer, creates the biggest sensation in Hollywood, and the head of the studio decides to make the newest Lockwood and Lamont picture their very first talking picture.
Don, believe me, it will be a sensation. Lamont and Lockwood, they talk.
Well, of course we talk. Don't everybody?
I knew these talkies would be a bad idea.
The explosion of new musicals hitting the theaters is demonstrated with a huge montage of, you guessed it, more previously used Arthur Freed songs. It finally settles on Beautiful Girl. Guess who wrote that one? The song is so incredibly 1930s, I could scarcely believe it. If you're dating the movie by the actual release of The Jazz Singer in 1927, that's anachronistically badass. Amongst the chorus girls is the wayward Kathy Selden, which excites Dawn to no end and helps her get a larger role in an upcoming picture.
Are you speaking for Lena also?
Now look, R.F., the owner of the Coconut Grove may do what Lena tells him to, but you're the head of this studio.
Yes, I'm the head of this studio. She's hired.
Pretty easily led for a studio hit.
Speaking of which, you should totally review more Phantom of the Opera related movies.
But I've already done Phantom. I don't think that...
Listen, who's the boss of this show?
I am?
Who gives the people what they want?
I do!
And the people want more Phantom of the Opera.
Yeah, they do.
They do!
They do!
Give the people what they want!
Phantom!
Men are so easy.
Don and Kathy take the time to reconcile their differences. Being the ham that he is, he needs the proper atmosphere before professing his love to her.
You sure look lovely in the moonlight, Kathy.
Now that you have the proper setting, can you say it?
I'll try. Life was a song. You came along. I've laid awake the whole night through.
This song was originally from Broadway Melody in 1929 and written by the increasingly either prolific or hubristic Arthur Freed. It's a much slower paced song, but what do you expect from the main love theme of the show? You'll notice there's not much dancing around in this segment. Demi Reynolds is many things, but a dancer is not one of them. On its own merits, though, the song still works well in this context and doesn't slow the movie down. It's a nice little interlude. In the meantime, the explosion of talkies have made it necessary for the previous actors of the silent era to brush up on their diction.
And I can't stand him.
And I can't stand him.
Can't.
Can't.
Some with more success than others.
Moses supposes his toes are roses. But Moses supposes erroneously. Moses supposes his toes
Oh my, this is most unorthodox.
Whoop-de-doody-doodle. Moses supposes his toes.
The song Moses Supposes is just one of those fun little intermediary songs, and one not written by Freed. It has no bearing on the plot, it has few words, no message, but damn if it isn't exuberant. Gene Kelly and Donald O'Connor just have such great screen chemistry and play off each other so well.
Don't you gentlemen think this has gone on long enough?
O'Connor is no slouch in the dancing department, and it's good to see him finally out from behind the shadow of Francis the Talking Mule.
Gentlemen, please. I'm fragile. Yes, you graduated. Go home.
The learning curve proves steep for the studio as they struggle on gainly to get their sound equipment integrated into their films.
It's dangerous.
This should really be a non-issue. I mean, it's been made apparent already that boom mics exist in this world, but hey, there's nothing unfunnier than a boom mic. Am I right? The pre-screening is a disaster, more so when the sounds begin to go out of sync.
This is the worst picture ever made.
I liked it.
The depression and reality that they all might just be washed up in the modern age of cinema sinks in. The era of the silent actor is over, and Don remains a mocked relic of days gone by. They prepare for the worst when Kathy gets a flash of inspiration.
Add some songs and dances, trim the bad scenes, add a couple of new ones.
And you got it. Hey, I think it'll work.
Of course.
It's a cinch.
I love a good upbeat song to offset a somber mood, a ray of sunshine through the clouds and all that. Good Morning is a wonderfully jovial song about staying up into the wee hours and talking with those you care about.
This scene was particularly rough on Debbie Reynolds with her lack of dancing skills, not only for having to keep up with two pros like Gene Kelly and Donald O'Connor, but Singin' in the Rain used very long takes for its dance scenes and used very few cuts. So Debbie trained vigorously hard and danced the scene until her feet bled, and her hard work has paid off in spades.
Hey, we can't make this a musical.
What do you mean?
Lena.
Oh yeah, Lena. She can't act, dance, sing, hell, she can barely speak. Time for Flash of Inspiration number 2.
Wait a minute, I am just about to be brilliant. Come here, Kathy. Come here. Now sing.
Huh?
I said sing.
Watch my mouth.
Good morning, good morning.
The idea is sprung to let Kathy dub her voice from behind the scenes. The dueling cavalier must be saved.
Don, you're a genius.
I'm glad you thought of it.
Oh, Cosmo.
I'm singing in the rain, just singing in the rain.
Ah, the title track. Everyone at some point in their lives has heard this song, or is at least familiar with the visuals.
The song, another Arthur Freed joint, was originally showcased in the 1929 Hollywood Music Box Review. It's also told that one of the most famous scenes in movie history was performed while its star was running 103-degree fever. Well, nothing better at least than being wrapped in cold, wet wool while burning up, at least I think so. Even more impressive are the lengths of the takes during these dance numbers. No rapid cuts, all talent, right there for us all on the screen to see. No cheating. The song and performance are just perfect. The music swells and dips along with Kelly's elated dance through soggy city streets, really giving us the feeling of being so in love you could care less about the world outside your sunny disposition.
Dancing and singing in the rain.
plan is solidified to rename the film The Dancing Cavalier and incorporate new, modern musical numbers in with flashbacks of the time of the original film.
Sensational!
And Kathy records her new vocals.
In his arms, would you?
Would You by You Know Who from San Francisco in 1936 makes an appearance, as it's made even more apparent how in love Don is with Kathy, and what an awful singer Lena is.
Sigh, would you, and would you dare to say, let's do the same that day?
Perfect. That Selden girl is great.
The deadline looming fast, they need one last good musical number to wrap the project up in one nice, neat, gift-wrapped little package.
Well, it's a new one. It's for the modern part of the picture. It's called Broadway Melody.
The Broadway Rhythm segment is a 15-minute long, mainly instrumental epic dance routine, taking us from one end of getting on Broadway to the other, and is broken up into pieces.
Gotta dance.
Joining him in this little fantasy world is Sid Charisse, fellow actress and accomplished dancer. Together they perform all manner of different dance styles, including a magnificent ballet complete with a flowing angelic cape.
The entire routine can be summed up in 2 words. Jazz hands!
That's the Broadway
It seems Lena has gotten wise to the fact that her lines are to be dubbed over, and rather be made a fool of, she leaks into the press that it's to be her own voice on the screen. Citing that her contract allows her to sue otherwise, she forces the head of the studio to have Kathy dub her in all future films. Uncredited.
Lena, I wouldn't do that to her in a million years. Why, you'd be taking her career away from her. People just don't do things like that.
People! I ain't people!
The picture proves to be a smash hit, and Lena spills the beans about having Kathy dub for her under contract for the next 5 years. No one stands for it, not even the studio head, conflicted over the success as he may be.
Lena, I think you've gone a little too far.
Speech, Don. They're yelling for a speech.
A speech!
No, you can't do it. Wait a minute, Rod. Wait a minute. This is Lena's big night, and she's entitled to do the talking.
Cut the talk, Lena. Sing.
Oh God, this can only end horribly.
A plan is hatched, and Kathy agrees to sing for her backstage, but under the condition that Don never speaks to her again.
I'm singing in the rain, just singing in the rain.
I'll walk down the lane with a happy refrain and singing, just singing in the rain.
The sun's in my heart and I'm ready for love.
Ladies and gentlemen, stop that girl. That girl running up the aisle. Stop her. That's the girl whose voice you heard and loved tonight. She's the real star of the picture, Kathy Selden.
What happens to Lena after this is a bit of a mystery, but whatever forces her into obscurity is fine by me. After their final little love song, they both go on to have a hugely successful career together as their new paradigm, Lockwood and Selden. Lamont who?
So there it is, Singin' in the Rain, the musical to end all musicals, and yet another one I've never even watched until just now. My real thoughts?
I admit it. Song and dance aside, it was the camaraderie between Gene Kelly and Donald O'Connor that really sold me on the movie. I was amazed to hear that just beyond a few TV specials, they seldom worked together before or since. The mark of 2 great actors. The musical numbers have stood well against the test of time for good reason. While most were all recycled from others' films, they were chosen and re-performed expertly. Oh yeah, and Gene Kelly can dance okay too, I guess.
Okay kids, it is time for Best Worst. Which song is as fit as a fiddle, and which song made him laugh for all the wrong reasons?
For Best, it's a toss-up between Fit as a Fiddle and Moses Supposes. They both showcase both the talents and rapport between Kelly and O'Connor, but I'll choose Moses Supposes for two reasons. First, it's longer. Easy. Secondly, my god, this song is fun. What few lyrics it does have is clever, the music energy is high, and the choreography is amazing. For worst, Beautiful Girl. Man, it just grinds the movie to a halt. I appreciate its use as showing the studio making talkies, and even the first half of the song isn't bad, if not a little bit too Pat Boone for my taste. It's just in the middle of the song, they break it down into a fashion show for no apparent reason, and it just drags on and on and on.
And on and on and on we go to the dartboard. Segway, jazz hand segway. Okay. Random selection is ruined.
It's a good thing this is in black and white. The shirts and ties do not match at all.
You'd be right to think so. I mean, hell, they're not all on the...
You are forgetting. I'm forgetting my line.
I'm so busy.
Greatest music musicals. Fuck. I cannot believe I did that. That was such a not bad take.
Do it. For the vet. And me. And the vet. But mostly me.